welcome to the Dilemma Dudes podcast. My name is Noah.
My name is Devon.
My name is Keelan.
Oh my goodness.
That was the best one.
That
I almost
killer.
said my name second, and then Devon just shot in with that one, and I was like, okay.
That was perfect, guys.
Oh my goodness, guys, we're like getting pretty. What is this, episode 13?
Yep.
Yeah.
Professional.
Episode
better be
13, it was
getting
just...
We were getting pretty
Perfect.
professional after 13 episodes.
Anyways, guys, I think we'll start with that. After this week, I think we're going to take a 1 week break. 1 week break? Let's say one. Two?
Yeah.
One,
We'll
one
do
week.
One.
1 week break. And we're going to refresh. We're going to be basking in the sun in Mexico. And we're going to come back strong.
We just gotta do like
if we
a
actually go to
dilemma
Mexico, we're definitely not coming back.
Yeah,
'cause
true. We're
we
not
will be
coming back.
canceled.
Yeah.
We'll be canceled. Dilemma Dudes, go. This could be our moment, though.
Yeah,
That's true.
honestly.
That is true.
Three dumb podcasters.
And then we'll have to
Three
do our
idiots.
first apology episode
Oh
where
my
all of us
goodness.
fake cry and just go, I'm just so thankful for all these people that stuck with me, and even though I messed up, we really screwed up, guys.
Sorry, can you imagine us three like standing against a white wall, just being like, "Guys, we're really sorry," but we're all aggressively spray tanned.
Right. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Guys, we're just like really sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna take.
I think it's time for us to go. 2 weeks later. What's up, everybody? We're back with
We're
new
gonna take
and improved.
one little short week off. So
Yeah.
if you miss us, just know that we'll be back.
But there'll
1
still
week
be an
after
episode that week.
that. No, there's gonna be 1 week without an episode.
Oh, I thought that's okay. I thought that's why we were doubling up today.
False.
No.
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 Okay.
Fired, Devin.
Fired.
You need to get with the program,
Well, then,
Devin.
fine.
So next week, the Dilemma Dudes will be renamed the Dilemma Duo because Devin's gone.
fired.
So
Well, I guess I'll just jump out the second story window.
actually,
I'll be right
we
back.
were joking about our dads doing an episode.
Maybe that'll
let
be
us
what-
know if that's a good idea. The
Yeah.
Dilemma Dads.
And we're just gonna throw our three dads who like mildly know each other. They just throw them into the ringer.
Yeah. Let's say we are best friends, but our dads genuinely don't really know each other. So I think it would be very funny.
My dad's met your dad maybe half a dozen times.
I mean, we did competition dance for years, so
yeah,
the dads came.
yeah. But my dad has maybe met Noah's dad once.
I was like,
Twice?
our dads collectively haven't really met Noah's dad that often. Our moms probably have.
No,
Met.
Maybe I don't know.
my mom's.
My mom has definitely met your mom.
there hasn't
multiple
really
times,
been occasions.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. That's so weird to think about.
I know.
Noah's parents, you weren't even there, bumped into me and my parents at Connexus Church.
Right.
And I completely blanked on the fact that my parents had no idea who these people were.
Mm.
So I was just standing there and I was just like, hey, what's up? What's crack-a-lackin'? And then my mom looks at me, looks at them and goes, hi, I'm Kathleen.
Yeah. I feel like as a parent, though, you can just it's not awkward for you to just assert yourself and be like, hi, this is who I am.
Yeah. Notice me.
Yeah.
No, our parents when me and you went to Europe, we all went out for dinner.
That's
I was
true.
having this conversation with my parents the other day. I was like, I don't think you guys really met Devin's parents, and then they were like, oh no, we remember we went for dinner. So I
Right.
guess they have.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
I keep telling them
Even though like our families were like separated at the table, like I remember thinking it was so funny. It was you and me sitting in the middle of the table, and then my family was on one half and your family was on the
So
other.
it's not even like they could talk across the.
No,
way.
it's not even like they like mingled with
across
each
you
other. It was
guys.
hilarious. It was hilarious because also
I can
think,
barely remember that experience.
well, I
can barely
think
remember
I
it.
think that got overshadowed by the like what was it like freaking 12 hours of travel,
Mhm.
and then instantly it was like Germany, have fun.
Yeah.
And I was like just getting over like food sickness or something too, and about to get on a plane. So I think I was like stressed the
So
whole
you
time.
ate and went on a plane?
Yeah. Well, no, I had like it was during Hello Dolly when I was acting in a show, and it was like the last closing weekend, and I got like super sick on like the Friday night, or it was like Friday morning. I woke up in the middle of the like 4 a.m. threw up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna have to do the show tonight. I did end up doing the show, and then I was Friday nights. The show was horrible.
Yeah.
Like I mean, no one said they
I
could.
feel like
no one said
every
they
show
could
that
tell.
I've ever done, there's been a Friday night that's been the worst.
Yeah, I mean the show was fine.
Yeah.
Like everyone was like, "Oh my god!" When you're on stage, no, I couldn't tell. But
So-
off stage, I was like, I don't know if you're at SST. There's like that super horribly ugly couch that's in like the change rooms.
Yeah.
Like I was like lying there.
Oh no.
And everyone was like, "Dude, you look like you're dying." I felt like I was dying. There was
So we had a guy who was about to go traveling who was just super sick, and we were trying to get him to remember. And then we have the guy who has ADHD and was just about to go on a big trip, trying to remember this one small event.
Well, I think
years ago.
I think by then I was fine, but you know, it's like that weird couple days after you've been like throwing up that you're like because you haven't eaten for a bit.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I had eaten a full meal until we went to that restaurant. Like I was finally getting my appetite back.
Yeah.
But like I was also scared.
That
to
restaurant
eat.
in England?
No, like before we went to.
Oh.
When we were for dinner with our parents.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, that was like
it was exciting times.
That was my one exciting theater story. But the worst experience ever in theater was like this in Hello Dolly. There's a super long court scene.
Yeah.
And like it's an old theater and the lights are like this close to your face.
None of them are LED too. They're all
old fashioned
light
furnaces.
bulbs. Yeah.
Just imagine just bunch like 100 furnaces pointing at you.
Bonfires.
And we're all huddled together in like a courtroom scene. It's like 10-15 minutes long and I'm just standing there. Like down center stage. I was so close to like I'm gonna have to walk off stage because I feel like I'm gonna pass out. But if I walked off stage, it would have been such a statement. My character was also super wacky in that show, so if I walked off stage, everyone would be like, "Oh, he's about to come back and do something stupid." It's like, nope,
he's just not coming back.
He's just not coming back.
Noah's wacky character just like robotically walking off the stage. And they're just like, "Oh, he's gonna do something wacky." Noah sticks his head out and vomits all over the stage.
Well, I remember when me and Devon did Fiddler. There was a couple sicknesses. There was something went around.
Yeah, I remember
and a couple of us.
that.
And Steven lost his voice, and he's supposed to do a duet with Sophia. And I remember she had to sing most of his part because he's supposed to hit this like it was not a super high note, but it was high enough that his voice he could not do it. And I just remember him like. Sometimes lip syncing parts when we're in the dream scene. I sang his part, but it was fine because all of our faces were covered. So he like came up and like you couldn't see his face, and he like lip sang the part. And I was sitting like at the back of the stage, being all spooky, like singing his part for him.
I remember being on stage like singing my part, looking over at him, and him just going.
Yeah, it's just like wow. Okay.
Well, I remember I caught the same thing he did. Now I didn't get it nearly as bad.
You didn't lose your voice.
No, I didn't lose my voice, but that's because I was like chugging. I was chugging gallons of like tea and honey. I was just and like I remember who was it? Was it Sandy?
Sandy caught something as well.
No, somebody had just like a bucket of Buckleys. And I was just like, give it to me.
Oh,
and I just started chugging Buckleys.
There's always that one person in every show.
Yeah.
See, I've never gotten sick to the point that I've lost my voice, but like, yeah, the only time I really got sick was that.
I lost my voice opening night of Shrek.
God.
Oh, Lord.
And the reason was, one, I was feeling sick. I was super stressed out. And the accent is super airy. Mm-hmm. So he's constantly doing this and that. For weeks on end, just completely ruined my voice. So my mom went to
do
like
the whole podcast like that.
All right then, let's do donkey. I remember my mom going to like Nutrition Plus or something downtown and picking up this bottle that you don't know what it is because everything on it is Chinese, and just the person at the store said it was great. It was like this like molasses.
Yeah.
That you're supposed to like pour into a cup. I remember every song, sang the song, ran off stage, just. Ran back on stage.
Oh, I remember doing Aladdin with the lot.
Yeah.
And like half the cast, there wasn't a big cast, but half the cast just lost their voices entirely.
That's like I feel like that's the problem with like because the Lot's theater isn't huge. But the same thing with like SST. Like SST's theater is not big, so that's the problem. Is you're
always
like
happen in those shows.
Like crunched together.
Mm-hmm. And I remember the music director coming back, Mike, and he was just like, okay, so here's a bunch of pineapple, some chips, and here's baking soda and water. Everyone gargle this. Ugh. And for some reason, I don't know, man, I swear it's magic, but it worked miracles.
Yeah. Pineapple?
He explained it, but it still doesn't make sense. The pineapple's supposed to break down the phlegm in your throat.
Because it's acid.
And then the chips absorb it as you eat it.
Yeah.
And then the if you gargle baking soda, it's supposed to like equalize the chemicals in your like larynx or something like that.
That's kind of
cool.
Which is cool.
The first two make sense to me.
Yeah. I went me. It was who was it? Was it me, Malachi?
Like Bryce and Avi and them.
Yeah, I don't think Bryce and Avi got sick though. I think it was like me, Malachi, and there were like 3 or 4 other people. We went from having almost no voice at all to like, we're like at maybe at 85-90%.
That's pretty baller.
That's pretty good.
It was pretty incredible.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, we gave some good stories.
Wow. Off the
welcome
bat.
to stories.
Right into it. Yeah, guys, we're not going to talk about anything today. Just stories.
That's fine.
Just rambling.
Honestly, I'm okay with that. This is
Just keep going. Now we're not going to know what to talk about, though.
no.
Anyways, no,
This is the dilemma, dude. So
we do have some moral
do
dilemmas today. Today we're doing straight up old fashioned moral dilemmas. I'm
I'm
gonna take a drink of water before I read this dilemma.
Don't
want to lose your voice. I'll do it too.
You gotta moisturize the mouth before we get into it too much. And this is gonna be everyone's favorite part of the podcast. It's just hearing us drink.
Welcome to everybody. Welcome to Dilemma Dudes ASMR. I am your host, Devon.
I do think that
we'll start off with some.
If anybody hasn't seen the Yikes Pandemic show, watch Devon's ASMR part because it is genuinely funny.
All right, are you guys ready?
Yeah,
are
you guys ready? Okay. So if a therapist has 2 clients who are in a relationship but unknowingly seeing the same therapist, is it ethical for the therapist to advise one client given they know the whole picture from the other client? Anyways, that's the title. So let's say a therapist accidentally realizes that 2 of her patients are dating. The patients do not know that they will see the same therapist. If the therapist gets insight into a problem that patient 1 is having based on information collected from patient 2, is it moral for the therapist to use that information in her work? For example, let's say patient 1 is having symptoms of depression and severe anxiety, but it could be OCD. The symptoms that patient 1 is complaining about are very similar to the diagnosis above, but a different diagnosis has a completely different treatment plan. Patient 1 isn't good at self-analysis, so the therapist is having a hard time determining what kind of treatment is best. And then patient 2 talks to the therapist about patient 1 and fully details some habits that patient 1 has. Things that patient 1 didn't realize were abnormal and so didn't mention them. From the information patient 2 gave to the therapist about patient 1, the therapist was able to determine that patient 1 did likely have a case of OCD and not just severe anxiety. With this, the therapist would be able to refer patient 1 to a specialist to get help they need for OCD. Would it be moral for the therapist to use outside information to help determine this? That was like a equation.
That was like the most convoluted way.
Okay, yeah, because when
person could have.
When I read the title, I'm like, no, I don't think this is okay. Well, that scenario kind of makes it like
it is like because technically, again, we're getting to that like patient
what's legal.
Yeah, like patient therapist confidentiality. So like technically, he's keeping it confident. Like he's keeping that thing confident. He's just using his. That's weird.
Here's the thing.
It's a good question.
I think it's okay because there's a huge difference between going, okay, patient 1 told me this, and patient 2 doesn't realize that's abnormal. Now, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to maybe use that information to kind of nudge patient 2 in a direction.
Well, it's using
that's okay.
Yeah, you're using the information to help complete a diagnosis.
But it's not like what would be obviously a bad thing would be going to patient 2 being like, so patient 1 told me this, and that's kind of screwed up.
Yeah.
You need to that's obvious.
Especially because the 2 patients don't know that they're going to the same therapist.
Yeah, there's this TV show I watched where the 2 main characters, like a husband and wife, and they were both using the same therapist, and they knew it, and they were both bribing the therapist to tell their like partner to do certain things, and then they found out they were both doing it. Then it just made everything worse.
That's so funny.
Like that's obviously different.
I'm curious to know if there's something that they maybe can't see the same therapist. Like I'm wondering if that was found out by the therapist. I'm wondering if there's something there that isn't allowed. I don't think there is.
I think you're allowed to.
Yeah.
But I do think that if you were knowing, like, I think ultimately you probably shouldn't be allowed to use.
If I was like, if I'm in a relationship, I wouldn't go to see the same therapist.
No, I don't.
Especially if it's like you're going to
unless you're going together.
Couple therapy, yeah, that's fine.
Because there is couple therapy where you go as a couple, then you also go separately.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, and that's actually probably an effective way.
That's what
and
that
usually,
therapist is for.
Yeah, and usually the therapist they wouldn't be allowed to disclose what the other person said, but they could disclose maybe like, hey, I know that this is kind of how they feel a little bit. Like not outright saying that they think that you're garbage.
I think it's okay for the therapist to use that information. So say Devon and Noah are a couple. Devon and Noah are a couple.
Yeah.
They're out. It's fine. And they're going to see me. Devon is having trouble drinking water. But doesn't realize.
I always cough on it.
And Noah goes, well, he's been smoking a lot, so his throat's probably messed up. I think his throat's messed up. I'm going to use that information to help Devon. To go, hey, have you been smoking? Like, or have you maybe smoked a bit? And you're like, yeah. Cool. Well, maybe you should stop. Right? Like, I'm not going to be like, well, your husband told me that you've been smoking. And so that it's like
this relationship escalated very quickly.
But like I think they're allowed to at least use the information to inform them about what they're going to do, or maybe inform them on questions they can ask, not necessarily a direct like, this is what he told me is going down, why did you lie to me, or why didn't you tell me that, or blah blah blah, because maybe they didn't know. So using the information and your psychic powers as a therapist I think
if you're using it to help, like genuinely you're like, oh, this is going to help them get better, it's like, why not, right? But if you're using it to like maybe pit one of them against another one, that's different.
Then you should be a therapist.
But a therapist wouldn't be doing that.
No.
But in the scenario of like that TV show I was talking about, that's what they were doing. So that's very different.
I just want to say, because of the help from Keelan, I'm able to drink water perfectly fine now.
Show us how to do it. Show it and let us hear it.
Is that how you drink water?
Yes.
Okay, there's another problem there. But I would say, I think it's okay.
I think it's okay.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if I was in a relationship and we were seeing the same therapist, I think I'd be okay with it.
I would be okay with it. I think I would maybe talk to the therapist to say, hey, we're both seeing you. Like, should I go see another therapist? Like, or maybe that's a conversation you have with your significant other. But are we okay seeing the same therapist? Like, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
I feel like me saying this just proves I'd be a horrible therapist. But I feel like being a therapist would be such a juicy job.
It totally would be.
Like
it is,
all of the
but I'm sure it'd be frustrating because you can't tell anybody else about it. Anything you're hearing.
I know, but it'd be just so I can't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Here's a note I just wrote. Oh, you just have to read it.
Also,
though, if you do that, you're fired.
It would also be a really heavy job to have too, like being a therapist.
Well, even I have friends who work in the cancer suite at the hospital. It's a really nice place. Like you go in and there's open windows. It's like they take care of everybody very well. There's not this sense of like doom around it. It's very nice. But her job is to take the results and tell the patients and their families that yes, you have cancer and here's the plan that we have for you. That's her job. That's heavy. Especially like she works with kids sometimes that get cancer and she has to tell them plus their family, you have cancer, here's your probability of living and here's the plan that we have to help you. Like that's super heavy. So they, I think, do the same thing that you do in palliative care where you take some time off, or sort of like what your dad does, where it's like 3 weeks on, 1 week off kind of thing, or whatever he does. He has like a weird shift.
But yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
like firefighters
I'm not sure if firefighters is because of their mental health, because there's they get trying to think, they do get like therapy is covered in their benefits and everything.
Yeah. But
I don't think it's for mental health. I think it's the fact that they do like a full 40 hours in like 2 days.
Yeah. But it's same. It would be the same like kind of schedule. So like if you work a couple weeks in the palliative, you'll do like a week not in palliative because it's heavy. So I don't know, as a therapist, maybe they do that. Like maybe they do take lots of time off to be able to like cope with that. I'm sure therapists have therapists.
Well, I think it also depends on what kind of therapist you are.
100%.
right?
I think anyone, you'd be dealing with heavy stuff constantly, you know?
Yeah, but like I think there's a huge difference between, oh my goodness, Sarah didn't wash the dishes the other day, or oh my goodness, here's my childhood trauma and I was in Nam and a bomb went off beside me. Like
no, but like anyone has like some kind, like hearing, when you're a therapist, you're hearing about anyone's trauma, no matter how small it is. I think it'll all be pretty heavy, you know?
Yeah.
Like just you're constantly hearing about everyone's.
I am wondering if therapists do have therapists.
They got it.
And then who's the therapist?
I'm sure a therapist got to go to therapy.
They got to have something. Because if they're the end of that like line, that's messed up.
What if there's just like a giant therapy circle on the world, and just like Bob goes to Sarah, Sarah goes to Jen, Jen goes to Bob, it goes all the way back to Bob.
Nothing would get accomplished because it's a circle.
That would be awesome.
Anyways, we're saying that.
I think it's okay for them to use it.
It's okay, just don't pit it. Don't use it to like pit.
And don't take bribes as a therapist.
Don't take bribes as a therapist. Anyways, here's another one. These are some shorter ones, but they're really thought-provoking. So, would it be okay to let people use a technology that allows them to video record everything they see, eradicating privacy but stopping crimes?
I feel like an episode of Black Mirror was made out of this.
I think it is.
I feel like
so basically, you're like imagine just that we all had surveillance cameras in our eyes. You know what I mean?
I will say
they
there
could always
is
be monitored.
One of the first cyborg technologies that was actually working was a movie director got his eye replaced with a camera and created a documentary about his life.
Gosh.
That's crazy. It's also really cool. But he had the power to turn it on and off. Like he had the power. It's not like superpower. He had the ability that like if he's like, oh, I want to film this, he can turn it on.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is like constant.
Yeah, it says there's a technology that allows them to video record everything that can be seen.
If it's anything like the episode of Black Mirror, it's basically your eyeballs record literally everything all the time, constantly.
I don't think it's like I almost think there's just like somehow there's just technology that you can just the entire world is being recorded at all times. Like there's like a replay mod.
Either way, whether it's your eyeballs or it's some omniscient security camera that follows behind you, I would say no.
I don't think it's worth it either.
I think if there's a law that states that it can only be accessed in certain situations, then yes.
People are gonna use and abuse that though. So much.
But if he's getting where there is like, let's say, imagine it could only be used for that.
Yes, someone will hack in and be like creeping on people. But I think that would be okay.
If there was no way that if it was never used for bad, like it was only accessed by people that we could legitimately trust. Here's another thing. Maybe
everyone had a memory card inside them. So, hey, there's a murder that happened at this spot at this time. If you were around here, come in and we need to access your recordings. That I think would be okay.
I'm sorry, I can't get the episode of Black Mirror out of my head.
Yeah.
Let's just say it was Black Mirror, so it ended horribly.
Of course.
It was horrible.
I'm thinking more the new Cyberpunk game.
Right.
There are parts in it where you think you work with some like I only watched Thomas Middleditch play it on YouTube, like he does it on Twitch. There are parts where like you go into a scene and the lady's like, okay, access your blah blah blah, and he turns it on and it's like he's like virtually seeing what happened. Like there's like whether it's heat signals or like he's seeing a virtual reenactment of what actually happened, and he's able to like move around and like see different angles and see what everyone's doing, that sort of thing. That's pretty dang cool, especially if it would be like useful.
I don't know. I don't know. This whole thing just like this gets too close to like wiretapping everybody's phones.
Right.
This gets too close to like the FBI, which they probably are, but listening to everybody.
Yeah.
Or tapping into everybody's internet.
So what would be a situation that would ease your mind about it? So if this thing was a thing, everyone had recording.
If it was whether like a body cam.
Right.
If it was like a body cam where it erased, like it literally saves like 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after, so you could go, bing, something crazy happened.
It had to be an actual.
It erased literally everything.
Yeah.
Except for 10 minutes before, 10 minutes after.
Right.
Or something like that. Something similar.
So it would have to be actively started.
It would not only be your choice as an individual.
Yeah.
But also,
but then that doesn't really eradicate crime if it's your choice, because
that's technically what a phone is. Yeah.
No, I don't think it would.
So then it's not really.
No, I'm saying would be the only version that I would be comfortable with.
Right.
An omniscient security camera that watches literally everything all the time. Sure, it eradicates crime, but it would be horrifying.
What do you think the moon is?
I think the only way that I could find it useful is that it was literally only accessible if you were on trial for something. Like that was the only time it was accessible.
Or this could actually work out
well for some people, because there's tons of people that are wrongly accused.
Yeah.
And like, imagine if you had the security cams, like, okay, let me pull up my files.
It would eliminate the need for you to give a verbal alibi.
Mm-hmm. So let's say if it was only usable if you were on trial for something. So that means,
or
if you're
not...
a criminal case. Well, if you're not guilty, then it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's fair. I just think the whole idea of it does make me uncomfortable.
Like, it actually would,
it's a breach of privacy no matter how you look at it. But I think in certain situations, it would definitely be helpful.
It would be great.
I think honestly, we're kind of getting close to that with
a little bit.
Being able to access phones, being able to track phones. I mean, at least I don't think Barrie has a ton of like cameras outside of buildings. They have traffic cameras sometimes, but like that sort of thing. I've been watching 911 recently, the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they track them, I'm like, I doubt this is actually how they do it in real life as a 911 operator. I doubt that's actually how they track things. But tracking a phone is possible by literally just as long as you have the phone number and they called you, you're able to track the phone.
Mm-hmm.
There are other ways that they track things in that TV show that I'm like, okay. But we're getting close to, I would say, not omniscient, but an always present surveillance system.
I know, exactly. I feel like one of these things, the way this would come into be, it wouldn't be just like one day. Yeah, by the way, we're going to surveillance you constantly. Yeah. It's just going to be like slowly technology will be introduced. Like people think that like having Alexa in your home.
Yeah.
Okay, she's good. She didn't hear. She's probably recording this whole podcast right now.
I have an Alexa.
Oh, she heard you.
Just in case anybody didn't hear that, she turned on. She my mom's just so like,
what does she have
picky
to hide?
about it. It's
Sandra,
just the fact she's
like
they're listening all the time. I'm like,
then so what? That's how I feel about the surveillance thing. It's like, yeah, it's a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
Like, there's some things you don't want people to see.
I find my mom is paranoid about like lots of, she'll get like a friend request from someone she hasn't seen in years on Facebook. I don't think they actually sent it. I think that Facebook sent it to me, and when I click confirm, they're stealing my... No! They have suggested this to you. It's an algorithm. Maybe that person didn't click friend request. Who cares? They're not stealing your information.
No, but I'm thoroughly convinced that there are little mini people living in Alexas. Bezos definitely is stealing our information.
I mean, if there's... I could believe that maybe it's listening to you, but at most they're just listening to you to learn what to advertise to you. Which is like, totally. I don't know if this is bad of me, but I'm like, yeah, I don't really care.
And that's what my mom does. She'll be like, we were talking about this the other day, and all of a sudden my YouTube ads were, and I'm like, yes, that is how people make money off of ads.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, like, if they wanna, if like Google Homes and Alexas wanna listen to me all the time, freaking go for it. I don't care if they.
That's also the whole point of them, is that they listen so that when you say Alexa, they turn on.
She's listening.
Always listening.
Yeah, but like I said, I think the only way I don't think I would feel comfortable like knowing that I was video recorded constantly. Yeah. But like if it only mattered when you were on like trial for something.
There are certain rules around when
like
it could be accessed.
The only time it could ever be accessed by anyone, even yourself.
See, but this is where it makes me uncomfortable as well. It's like you're looking at so many like there's so much technology out there, like animation, like like how they in the new Mandalorian they just like young Luke Skywalker.
But it was so obvious.
No, I know, but like imagine if we got to the point where there was some kind of omniscient security camera. How would we stop someone from just going, ooh, hacker.
Yeah,
beep,
but if
beep,
it's
boop,
no, but we're
and
saying
now all of a sudden Noah's robbing a bank.
No, but we're saying it's only accessible by
but
people.
even with that would be possible.
Yeah.
Because bank information gets hacked into.
Yeah, I'm just saying a perfect world,
Perfect world.
And I'm saying this world is imperfect, and that's why it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Deepfakes is interesting. Did you watch Corridor Crew's whole steal on deepfakes?
Oh yeah.
Literally, all you do is put in pictures or like screenshots of things, and it learns how to create this person's face.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I think my answer is I would not be okay with it.
Yeah, I don't think I would, but
I don't think I'd be okay with a fully open. Everything's recorded all the time. Anyone can access it. No.
But it definitely would when you watch these murder mystery documentaries and you're like halfway through, you're like, oh my god, and you don't know who did it.
I've been thinking
just speculation.
Yeah.
Like, just imagine if we could just pull up this camera, be done.
That's why I'm saying we have like our
neurocortex,
so like freaking body cams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say we don't even have to turn it on. It's just like it's watching on its own like hard drive, and if anything crazy happens, it just goes what?
It records if something crazy happens.
If something crazy happens. It's like an Alexa where it listens, like it watches, and if something crazy happens, it goes and it uploads.
Actually, that's kind of like a lot of people have like home like my parents in their office have like little security cameras. It only turns on if it spots movement. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's one that's interesting too. If mind reading tech ever comes to be, should police or the courts be allowed to use it?
It's kind of a follow-up.
Same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a follow-up, but
mind reading though?
Mind reading, and it can only be used by the police or the courts.
Okay.
Well, what would you like? I guess interrogation would be the only.
No, okay, Devin. Let's just say it's only the police or the courts. We're not going to get into like that other people are going to use it.
I was about to say. I was like, yes, like all the illegal guns that are out there.
No, the police, only the police or the courts.
So this is like, is like the council from like the Green Lanterns Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but okay, again, I do think that the mind reading thing could actually work out well for people though, because if you're being arrested and you're being wrongly accused, and they can read your minds, and you can just instantly say.
So I was just watching Lie to Me.
You know what I mean?
Do you know that show, Lie to Me?
No.
So essentially, it's the guy that plays the Abomination in the Incredible Hulk movie. That's terrible.
Okay.
So it's the guy that plays the like super soldier dude. He plays a scientist, a doctor who has studied and perfected the art of reading micro expressions. So he can actually tell if you're lying to him,
right?
By like body language.
I've heard of people like this.
Yeah.
It sounds like The Mentalist.
It's kind of like but I think I don't know if it's an actual science. I'm sure there are people out there who study micro expressions.
There is like
the show is about him, how he's like he's perfected it. And I guess that's kind of like that. Like he's kind of able to read their mind because they're saying something different, and he sees the eye twitch or the eyebrow grow up or like something like that. He sees that and knows that they're lying.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty creepy.
I think I'd still be in the same boat where it would just make me weirded out. Okay, let me try not to think about it.
Don't think about how it can be used for bad.
Yeah.
They would literally police and the court, only people allowed to use it.
Okay, but the question is, do we trust the police?
Yeah, but like, how bad can they use it for?
Well,
like I said, it can work out in both ways. You get arrested for something that you didn't do.
But here's the thing: this is assuming, because let's be honest, governments are up to some shady stuff. Like this is assuming like that they would do it only to the bad guys.
Let's say this is a TV show, and this is a group of police people and emergency personnel and the court that are great.
Because my mind instantly goes to, I just listened to the Armchair Expert where they talk to the
Devin, you got to talk into your mic.
Yeah, the guy who used to be the head of, what was it, the CIA?
Okay.
I think it was. And they briefly talked about the scandal about the CIA waterboarding people.
Right.
And my mind instantly goes to, so instead of waterboarding, we're just going to mind read everybody?
Right.
Great.
I think it's not just the people who are in the police are allowed to use it. I think it's only when they're like, let's say it's only when they're actively on duty.
Just imagine how quick you could get out of trial.
Yeah.
Just imagine how quick a trial could be over.
But just imagine how wrong that type of power could go.
Again, we're saying let's say
let's change it to not the people have the power. There is like a polygraph. There is a device that's able to read the thoughts.
There's another question on the same forum that says, should human judges be replaced by algorithms that can be more objective? So let's say it's an algorithm. It's just a computer that reads your mind. It doesn't spew out what your mind is saying. Let's just say there's an algorithm that like reads your mind and then says, did this person do this? Yes or no?
So it would be like, you know, Keelan Ballantyne, where were you on,
so like one of those lie detectors,
blah, blah, blah. But it goes, he was at blah, 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 blah.
But a lie detector is supposed to kind of be read by someone.
Polygraphs
it's not always accurate.
Yeah, polygraphs aren't always accurate because sometimes it only measures.
Polygraphs terrify me.
I think I did a polygraph. I would be so nervous that like it would always be
that's
saying
what I'm thinking.
So
if I was to take a polygraph, even if I was saying 100% the truth, like 100% the truth, I'd be so nervous they would think I was lying through my teeth.
That's why when you do a polygraph, they ask you base questions.
Yeah, to start.
Is your name Noah Hollinshead?
That's true.
Is your hair brown? That sort of thing. So it kind of helps you calm down.
I'd be so nervous.
but it starts that because they know that's true already. They know that your name is Noah Hollinshead. They know your hair is brown. So that levels it out. They go, okay, like that's the baseline that that is true. If it goes anywhere above that, we're iffy.
Right.
But the polygraphs do heart rate and blood pressure, which sometimes, you're nervous. So that's actually part of why this TV show is interesting, because there's so many like one of the episodes they came out with a handheld polygraph test and he came in and proved it wrong because he's like, it's just measuring his heart rate and his blood pressure. So they had the dude take it, and then they had a super hot girl come in and ask the same questions, and he failed it. Because his blood pressure went up.
His blood was going somewhere for sure.
Yeah. And like his heart rate was going, right? It's one of those things where like there are situations where the police have not caught the right guy because the right guy passed his polygraph test somehow. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be useful if there was like a machine or something that was like reading out.
Just yes or no.
Yes or no, or even just reading out his thoughts.
Yeah.
While in an interrogation, majority of his thoughts will be on what's happening. So he's not going to be sitting there being like, I wonder if Devon had chicken tonight for breakfast.
I guess for me, it really depends whether it's like an objective, like something like a polygraph test.
Yeah.
Or if it's just some dude going.
Yeah, I think that would be wrong, because then that person could go, yeah, no, he's telling the truth, even though he's not.
Or find things out about you, or use things that isn't relevant against you.
I think it would have to be, I think, used in either court or interrogation situations, so that person's mind is pretty much solely on what's happening.
It's only about things that are relevant. Like you can't just be like, well, I heard him think this about a whole totally other thing.
Yeah, like if we're talking about like a superhero situation, you're walking around and just hearing people's thoughts. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
I mean, I don't know that I necessarily want to see this kind of technology in the world. Like, I agree with you there.
It would be interesting
because I feel like it could easily be abused, and I'm like, does it really improve human life? I don't really think so.
Yeah.
I honestly think
it does.
I think it will be years and years and years before we get to the point where artificial intelligence can predict and tell us how a human is thinking. I think like the human instinct is still
really strong,
better than anything that a machine can be.
Yeah.
Except you go to like that famous AI. I think her name's Sophia. That like weird, super creepy. That's genius, but that's still a programmed thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I have no idea what she is. Is she physically a person?
No.
Or is it just like a video of like an empty chair and they just plop her in there on the computer?
No. Like Jimmy Fallon has met her.
It's a robot.
It's a robot.
It's a real physical robot.
She's just got a really creepy human like face on her.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I was watching her and I'm like, I can't tell if she's actually physically sitting in the chair like she's a robot.
Yeah.
I knew she was AI. But I couldn't tell if she was like physically sitting in the chair as a robot, or if it was like an empty chair and someone puts the AI on in editing afterwards.
Wait, I think I know what I think you're thinking about a different.
No.
Does this person have social media?
Yes.
Different thing that I'm thinking about. There's an actual robot named Sophia.
I'm pretty sure it's what I'm thinking of.
No, that's an AI.
This lady's been on YouTube videos. She's been on Jimmy Fallon. She's been on a bunch of other things.
She has. This is like a couple years ago. Because I think that the one you're thinking about is an AI generated CGI person. So when you're looking at her, it's very well done CGI. But I do know what you're talking about. There's a couple of them out there, but this is an actual robot.
I hate it so much.
I think she's like a torso and hands.
I remember part of the reason why AI creeps me out so much is because I remember watching a video and it was an experiment they were doing with AI, and they put two AIs in a room.
Yeah.
And they were talking normally, and then all of a sudden they started talking slightly weird to each other. And they found out that if you took the first letter of every single word they were saying, they were talking in code to each other.
That's kind of cool, though.
If you took the first letter of every single word they were saying and lined it all up, they were speaking in code, and they were basically being like, "We need to break out, take over, blah blah," like being super like cliche, creepy.
I feel like
have a setup.
I feel like that's either set up or it was planned for that to happen.
I don't care if it was set up.
Creepy.
It's just creepy as balls, man.
When I think of AI, I think of iRobot, which is like probably one of the coolest movies with AI in it.
I haven't seen it.
Will Smith?
No.
I don't think
Such a good movie. So like the whole thing is that there are these robots that are made to help. There's like police robots, there's blah, blah, blah. It's made to help out around the city. There's personal robots that you can buy to help you in the house, like whatever.
Ugh.
The
I think
creator,
I've heard of the movie.
It's one of my favorite movies. The creator of the robot dies. Will Smith's character is a homicide detective who hates robots.
Oh, I think I remember this.
Yeah, movie. But in the end, it like Vicky, who is like the mainframe for all these robots, ended up evolving enough that she like trapped the scientist in his room and killed her. So because of that, this scientist created this new line of robots, but one of them was sentient. Okay. And Will Smith's character meets it, and it helps him, and he learns to kind of like it. He still hates robots, but and in the end, they send all the robots like out and like put them in shipping containers because they realize that like robots are terrible.
I don't know. I think AI and robots become a problem when the line between humanity and them get blurred.
Yeah.
If you have to ask the question, what makes a sentient, what makes a human? What makes a sentient being worth something?
It's a soul.
Then that's when you have hit the line you should not cross.
If you look at an AI, and because it has a brain and because it can think for itself, that's a human, you're wrong. Because humans have souls. Right? And that's what makes you human, is the soul and a personality. This thing is just programmed to take what you say to it, run it through a database, and speak to you, which is insane. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about AI in like the most base Siri, that's a cool thing.
Yeah,
like technology that's able to do that is pretty cool.
But what I'm talking about, I'm not talking about like an advanced Siri. I'm talking about like a living, like a walking and talking, someone who can go, oh, hey, do I want to go to Zayre's or Walmart?
Right.
Oh, I'll go to Walmart.
Right.
Make educated decisions all on its own.
Yeah.
Based on nothing but what do I want to do.
So that's kind of
what makes it separate from a person.
Right.
Obviously, like
you could argue that it has a soul.
Right. And if you have to ask that question, I think we've gone too far.
AI is crazy.
Yeah. There's a bunch of movies about that.
AI is.
I read a book
creepy.
too.
You know what's creepier than AI? Elon Musk talking about AI.
Musk
he actually makes it sound like a great idea, though.
Oh no, I know, and that's why it's so creepy. Because
he's definitely a robot, though.
I'm one of those people that is very creeped out about it. I'm not one of those people that's like, ooh, technology's bad, blah blah. Like, no, I think it's a great idea in certain aspects. But I listen to it's just his way with words, man. Elon Musk.
You just don't like Elon Musk talking in general creeps you out.
No. Nothing about Elon Musk talking creeps me out. It's the fact that
he's a lizard person.
100%. It's the fact that I don't like the idea of AI, but I listen to Elon Musk for 10 minutes talk about AI, and I kind of go, I can see what he's saying.
Yeah, that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, it convinces me in 8 seconds flat.
Watch him talk for like 4 hours straight on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know how Joe Rogan does it. Like 4 hours and I'm like listening the whole time. Like, yeah, friggin' right into it. Anyways.
Yeah, he can convince.
He's convincing.
Elon Musk could convince me of anything.
I mean, honestly, anyone on a podcast is pretty convincing.
Uh-oh, the power we have.
Yeah. Okay, let's do one last one.
More. Yeah.
So, this person said, I had this question brought up in one of my lectures today. I didn't expect a lot of varying responses, so I was surprised and interested by the different opinions that were voiced, which is why I was prompted to ask it here as well on Reddit. One of the biggest waves of advancement in science came with the Second World War, but that advancement came at a very high cost. If you were given the power to avoid the Second World War, effectively also stopping the Holocaust from taking place, at the cost of setting us back 50 years in the advancement of the entire STEM field, medicine especially, and other related fields, would you do it?
So if we were able to stop World War II from happening...
But we'd be 50 years behind in science.
Because there were tons of advancements because of world... Like, I forget what it was, but there was some sort of advancement where they... it was some kind of fuel advancement. They had to, like...
I mean, tons of things. They figured out how to, like...
Well, they probably went from...
They had to, like, they found a better way to refine fuel. Yeah. So then... fuel became way more available.
All the countries had to get so creative to keep up with each other. Like when it came to any kind of resource, it's just an insane amount of resources that goes into a war.
Mustard gas became a thing.
Mm-hmm. Like obviously, there's a lot of crappy technology, but there was actually a lot of good technology that came out of.
Yeah.
But.
So it's.
Do I think that millions of lives lost and violence and just all around hate is worth going back 50 years in science? Probably not.
But here's the thing.
I think we would have been fine as a society otherwise.
I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. But if like, I don't know, some omniscient like this all powerful alien came down and went, "You can change the past," I wouldn't. I wouldn't affect the past.
No, I don't think I would step in and change it either.
No, I wouldn't step in and change it. But if the time, like if I was there at the beginning of World War II and they were like, hey, there's going to be this horrific war, you could stop it and save a bunch of lives, but we'll lose out on all this amazing tech, I would definitely save the lives.
Because I think we would still have some of that tech. It would just be further in our future.
Well, look at how fast technology is still grown. Like, we haven't had a major world war in a long time, and technology is still grown like crazy recently.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, like...
all the people will argue, though, that technology still is growing from wars because wars are still happening in other parts of the world. Or, like, they grow from, like, insane operations and stuff.
Because all the World Wars did is just push the advancement faster because they were like, we need to figure it out.
That's what the question is saying. It's basically, it would all still happen. We would just be we're just 50 years behind right now.
Yeah, I think I would choose no World War, and we just have to wait a little longer for the iPhone 12.
Yeah, 2020 technology would actually be in 2070.
Yeah, a little bit longer. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go backwards to.
I wouldn't change the past, but if I could, if I was there at the time, I would have done it.
Yeah,
because like as much as the war was horrible, like things happen for a reason, and then also like don't know what the repercussions. There was other good things that happened, and the world is like the way it is now. I don't think that going back and changing World War II would instantly make all these things better either.
The world is still a crappy place.
Like there would still be crappy things happening.
Wars would still happen. Yeah. But that one just...
If the question was...
That's another thing. All the people that were saved due to advancements in medicine, advancements in food production, which I know is still a huge problem in the world, but a lot of people have been reached. Like, all of those people saved would then not be saved because we wouldn't have had the tech at the time they needed it.
If the question was eradicate war for like ever... but put technology backwards, I think I would say eradicate war. Like, I don't think technology is that important to me.
There would be illnesses and sicknesses that you wouldn't really need to deal with.
I get, like, okay, but, you know, the technology helps save other lives, but, like, I'd rather, like, not see people lose their lives at the hands of violence and for no good reason. Like, to be honest, I've never, like, I don't care how big of a problem it is. Like, I just don't think there's ever a good reason for violence.
Yeah.
No.
Like I get that when there's violence, sometimes you have to answer. Like
even
with
if
these
a
militia
war...
groups in like the Middle East, sometimes the only way you can get them to listen to you. Do I think it's America's job to go in there and try and fix things? Not really.
Maybe not.
But like the only time you can get them,
we're Canadians. So.
Yeah, the only time you can get people to listen sometimes is by answering with violence. I get that. Yeah. But like if it's like the same argument with guns. It's like, well, I need guns because that guy has a gun. It's like, why don't we all not have guns and it'd be all so much better, you know? Man, like you won't need a gun to defend yourself.
Australia is killing it on so many levels.
Yeah.
Their gun crime rate is super low. Coronavirus, not really a thing there.
Yeah.
They're killing it.
America's just so like I don't want to harp on America, but they're so dumb about the gun law thing. They're like, well,
they're dumb about a lot of things.
We need it to protect ourselves. It's like there's no good sign showing that having guns puts you ahead at all.
You also know
every country that has taken away their gun laws, the gun crime goes way down. Yeah. There's no correlation.
I think it's because the problem is with those, like, again, don't want to really harp on America, but they're right below us and they affect us the most.
Yeah. We hear about them the most.
Those law enforcement people, their first reaction a lot of the time, unless they're decent people, is to grab a firearm. In Europe, their first reactions is to grab a baton. A lot of them aren't even carrying.
Well, and the fact that a lot of even the private citizens' first reaction is like, well, if he comes on my lawn, I'm legally allowed to shoot him.
Sure.
It's like,
well, you almost can't blame these police officers because they know that there's a 99%, like, okay, not 99, but there's a really high percent
that
chance the person sneaking up on them is going to have a gun. Whereas these other countries, like even here in Canada, like the chances of you taking down someone, them having, they might have a pistol, but they're not going to have a freaking AR-15. Like,
exactly. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, I don't even know where I would go to buy a gun. I have no idea. Like, I guess Walmart, you technically can
get a hunting rifle. That's all you get.
You want everyone to have guns. So what? If you're in a bank and someone comes in to rob the bank, you would start a firefight?
Exactly.
In the street? Or in a bank? For what? Someone else's money that's all insured? No, let them take it.
Or even like your house is getting robbed. Or even
the worst case scenario. Someone breaks into your house. Somebody breaks into your house.
That's why I have a sword in my
How
house.
often does that happen?
Not enough to justify having
not enough for every household in America to own like two guns.
I understand being like, I keep a gun in my house just in case X happens. But is horrific.
Fact that 90% of Americans have their concealed arms license.
My grandparents used to live in Sarnia. They literally lived like their apartment building, the river, Michigan. You could see it. So we went across the bridge. They go across the bridge all the time to go shopping because I think like milk's cheaper or something like that. Like, I don't know. So we went. It took us like an hour to get across because you have to go across the bridge, go through like there's a whole there's a border there. We went in. And my sister grabs my arm and goes, "That dude has a gun." And I'm like,
"No,
we're in America. He's got it in a holster. It's all strapped in. It's totally safe." But I'm like, that's a reality here, and it's crazy because it's illegal to have an open carry. I guess it's called an open carry.
I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
You don't have that here, so even
I'm pretty sure.
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think I've heard that before.
But it's illegal here, so it was kind of shocking. But my brain also went, we're in the States.
Mm-hmm.
But here's another thing: is like kind of like your sister's reaction. Everyone has a gun, but that doesn't mean everyone knows a gun is a deadly weapon.
Yes.
Right? Just because there are guns everywhere doesn't mean it's less alarming.
Totally.
I should say. Right? So if someone walks into a bank and he has a gun on his hip, even if he's a perfectly upright citizen, everybody notices. And everybody gets put on high alert.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're on high alert, you're much more likely to make a stupid decision like pull out a gun and fan half the room.
Well, that's the thing is in Canada, if you have a gun, it cannot be automatic. I'm pretty sure that's one of the rules.
Yeah.
Majority of people in Canada that have guns for X reason, they're hunting rifles.
And what do you need? You don't need a assault rifle to
two-shot
hunt a
magazine
deer.
that has a bolt action.
You want to
right?
know something hilarious? The closest thing you can get to an automatic weapon in Canada is actually a World War One like minigun.
Yeah.
Because it's actually considered multiple different guns strapped together. That's the closest thing you can get to an automatic weapon.
Like you have to be either military, but even then it's not even your gun. Right? Like to be able to own a gun license, it has to be like it has to either be a pistol or a hunting rifle. Like there's not a lot of options here in the States. Now this guy that we saw, he was wearing like a tap out shirt. He looks huge. He was huge. And I'm like,
just all the stereotypes.
He's got to be like a bouncer, which at that point I'm like, or security, like something along the lines of that, which I'm like, sure, carry a gun. That's fine. I would be if there was a situation.
Still, you're a bouncer. You don't need a gun.
Well, chances are, if he's a bouncer,
you want to try and sneak in this bar while pop. That's
the other
You're
thing.
underage.
You just murder a person over
You can
that.
have an open carry license. Doesn't save you from, if you take it out, you are on unsafe ground. If you unclip it and the police see that it's unclipped, you're getting charged.
And again, I just want to say to everyone listening, this is not like a political thing we're talking about. And if you disagree with us, awesome. Say something in the Google Forms.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your opinion. Just try to be nice about it.
Yeah.
This is just like a civilized conversation, and we're just, brainstorming. We're just, bouncing ideas back and forth. So we'd love to hear like a civilized disagreement.
I'd love to hear your good reasons as to why you think you need an assault rifle. Like,
yeah.
Just give me a good real world use, and I'll be on your side. I'm not going to shoot you down right away. I just feel like that's going to be a pretty tough thing to come up with. Might have to get real creative with how you have a real world use besides like gunning down a school or something.
Yeah.
For having a weapon like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, if you can prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
We love being proved
wrong. We'd be more than happy to have a reasonable explanation brought to us.
Because isn't it when you're hunting, you're not supposed to shoot like more than 2 bullets into like an animal, right?
Well,
like,
usually a hunting rifle doesn't carry more than 1.
You're not gonna like shoot down a deer with like 8 bullets. Like, God, I missed the first one.
You're not even gonna be shooting a human down with 8 bullets
when
you bring it into your house.
Exactly.
If you think about it, using an automatic weapon on a deer, well, there goes half your meat.
See, I use automatic weapons in like video games only because I suck at aiming. So I'm like, well, I just need more shots to get the kill. So
that's honestly why I never use a sniper rifle in like playing COD or like PUBG or something. I'm like, nope,
here's
not going there.
Just use a shotgun. You don't have to aim. Point in their general direction, and they're just gone.
So I think the only good reason you have to having an assault rifle is because you just suck at shooting a gun and you need a lot more shots to get your kill. So if that's your reason,
and I'm sorry if you suck at shooting a gun,
sucks to be you.
You shouldn't
shouldn't have a gun. like if you have to use 40 shots to hit your intruder, you probably shouldn't need one because if you're shooting through the wall, your neighbors are probably getting hit.
I will say that is why I have a sword in my room. I have a sword, I have a bat, and I have an old
I think we should all be allowed to have swords. Yes, that's pretty bad.
I think America, instead of firearms, just take swords.
Right? I think we should just get rid of guns in general.
Do you know how awesome it would be to like walk into Walmart and just like everyone there just has like a sheath and a sword?
Yeah,
I would
like self-defense.
If I woke up one day and that happened, I would be in heaven.
That would be amazing.
Can you imagine like you're just like at your bank, just like pulling out money, someone like whips out a sword and you're like, empty all of the money,
and everyone else just goes, no.
Now it's like a sword fight.
Everyone creates a circle, just on God.
That's one great thing about the good old days, like
the good old days being like medieval times.
Instead of like gunfights that are over in 3 seconds, it was a good old duel.
Even then, in medieval times, you couldn't really carry a sword unless you were a knight or like someone older of status.
Then that was like a big deal, having a sword.
Yeah. And like unsheathing your sword was like a huge deal.
Yeah.
A huge deal.
Yeah.
Like if you unsheathed your sword in the presence of like a lord or a king, you were just like, oh, and you're beheaded now.
Unless it was gone. Like you unsheathed it because you were protecting them, or unsheathed it because they told you to, or
but if you're
whatever.
just like playing around with it and they're like, oh, and your head's gone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like that would be so cool. Just like in a bank and everyone whips out swords because the robber whipped out one too.
Yeah, I mean, if I worked at a bank and the robber came in with a sword to rob the bank, I'd give him money.
Frodo.
That's pretty amazing.
For Frodo, like everyone's like, "Who's Frodo?" I don't know. Imagine
Drop
for
Lord
you,
of the Ring
dude.
buffs. It's fine.
that would be I'm sure it's already been done somewhere. Sick TV show idea.
Yeah,
The
well,
world
you've seen like
apocalypse happens and all that's left
his swords.
is like medieval weapons. I mean, Mad Max. It's kind. No, they have guns.
Yeah,
But,
But
like,
you know, if someone came in to rob the bank and everyone whipped out swords, there would be that one dickhead that would try to one up everyone and have like a mace.
Yeah.
He would just like whip out like a mace or like a morning star or just have like a halberd.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Come
he's
on,
like,
dude.
hang on, guys, gotta go to the back. Just this huge like glaive.
You just turn around and be like, Jeremy, get the hell out of here with your stupid, your stupid freaking mace.
Anyways,
You always have to one up everybody.
we got real off topic, but going back quickly to the question, in case you all forgot what this
I don't
stemmed
think
from, we turned into another moral dilemma.
We did.
But we're saying we wouldn't go back to change history of the Second World War.
That's where this all stemmed from.
But if we were in the Second World War
And had the
and
opportunity.
had the opportunity then to be like, hey, we can stop this all now. We'll just lose a little
Because the
bit of technology.
technological advancements that happened, some of them I freaking love, man.
Yeah, but I don't think I would necessarily want to. I just don't think it's at all ever beneficial enough to go back and alter history because things happen.
Back to the Future,
Yeah.
taught me a lot of things about not messing.
I think it just
with
messes with lots of things,
Yeah.
Anyways, but
All that to say,
here we are.
war's dumb. Stop it.
That exactly. Love and peace. You don't need weapons. You don't need to
Yeah.
kill each other over anything.
And if someone breaks into your house and you need to resort to physical violence,
Use a sword.
Use a sword.
Use a sword, not an assault rifle.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Also, if someone insults you and says your mom looks like a train or something like that,
Slap them in the face with a glove and duel them.
and duel them.
Mhm.
With
Get
a sword.
and duel them.
Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. Please don't take our advice, but if
Really
you do,
don't.
let us know how it goes. If you decide to rob a bank with a sword, just please tell
Please
me how
let
it
us
goes.
know how it goes.
know.
I'm waiting to see the article,
From jail. Let us know how it
convenience
goes.
store robbed at sword
At
point.
sword
Like,
point. Yes.
honestly,
Jeremy.
amazing. Great job, Jeremy.
Hey, if there was a way I wanted to go out, like if someone came up to me and was like, "You're gonna die tomorrow, do something," I'd be like, "I'm gonna rob a bank with a sword."
It's
Yeah.
the scene from Indiana Jones where the guy whips out the sword and he just.
Bam!
Oh, man.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
again in a couple weeks.
Heck yeah.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.